Yo, what's going on everyone, Striker here. Thank you for checking out today's video of Advanced GUI, and this is going to be a pretty in-depth tutorial. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can, but this is actually a brand new plugin. It is premium though, working on versions 1.8 to 1.16, and this is actually a fantastic plugin, guys. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, this looks a lot like Banner Board or Interactive Board, but guys, this plugin actually beats them and throws them out of the water comparatively. So I think, in my opinion, one of the key components or one of the key features that I think stands out is the built-in web editor. So you guys can actually edit all the pictures online using the web editor, and you can configure all this. You don't even need to actually go into a YML file, because that makes it so nice, guys. It is so user-friendly, and it just makes it so much easier to actually see what you're working with when customizing these item frames. Another thing that I love is the live updating. And so as you see right here, I'm looking at this specific spot and it actually live updates for me, which is insane, guys. I love that. So you can actually interact with the different types of things in the map. And so, for example, if you're running bungee cord, you can actually go teleport to this specific server, and this actually beats any typical GUI or GUI that, you have a compass. I actually love this, guys. And so you have like this preferences, as I did mention, hooks in with placeholder API. So this would be the specific time, and then here's the date, and then if I have anything on my chest plate, that is the placeholder right there. So then we can go to our preferences down here, and then if you were on bungee cord, you can do this like friend request, so you can like toggle it on and off right here, which is so cool. I actually love this player interaction that you can have with this, and it is actually quite amazing, guys. So you can come on this test server and test it out for yourself. So that's just a quick showcase of done projects. I'm going to show you guys how to make your own specific project, and then we'll go ahead and get started. If you guys want to join a great townie survival server that is a community driven and not pay to win, PlexusMC is the server for you. It is now open after 9 months of solid development and teamwork and setups. You guys can now join the server. And when you go ahead and join, you can actually rank up using in-game money and experience, which is pretty awesome, and then you can go ahead and select your job. You guys will not get bored with how many unique features that this server has. You can gain multiple different types of items from custom drops, and you can craft those items to get even better and amazing custom gear. There is a set of Octavia's Heart, which is one of the drops from the bosses, and this actually gave me a super OP pickaxe. I was able to tear through pretty much everything and make everyone jealous, as you see right there. But there is so many fun things, guys. There is a lot of unique and custom bosses that are going to be implemented into the future. There's currently one pretty bad boss that you guys can kill, and in this example, probably these will be implemented later on in the future, so you guys can look forward to that. But here is one of the bosses. This is the Octavia boss, and you guys can fight to the death for this boss to get one of those Octavia hearts. It will give you a really good random level of either loot or armor or tools or something. So really cool stuff. Come join on 1.16.3 and make some friends in this townie survival community. So once you're on the web editor, here is what it looks like. So you have your project, your size that you want your specific item to be, and then over here you can import specific projects. And so if you want to download those save points, you can actually do that with this Dropbox link on the Spigot page. And I do actually recommend doing that just to show you guys what you can actually do with the specific types of projects that you have. And so we're going to be starting out with a very simple one. So we'll call this YT, and I'm going to leave this specific thing the same, 3 frames by 2 frames, and this represents item frames in the game. So down over here you can start adding components. I like to do this group. As you see, there's quite a bit of components here, and each one represents its own thing. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but what I do recommend is starting out with a group, because this is sort of like a folder. And so here is where you can place everything inside the folder and just keep it organized. I personally like it. You don't have to have this if you don't want to, but just mess around with some of the components to see how you like to get it set up. Sometimes you will need the groups. It just depends on what you're trying to do. So in this case, I just want a big background image, and we're going to do something very simple. We'll just add an image and then click it, and we'll send a player a message. So I'm going to call this just first. Alright, so we'll just call that first. Now we can go ahead and start adding child components. You can add images or remote images for this, or even GIFs, which is really nice. So I'm going to start out with a remote image. So with this, you can actually use specific links, which is really nice. So I have this link that I'm going to be using. It's just a blue background image, and I'm going to head and remove the keep ratio, and then we'll go ahead and just pretty much expand this to fit the canvas just like so. And we'll go ahead and there we go. Now we can go ahead and start adding some more specific child effects. So this rectangle, I like to call this a reaction, because this is where players can actually click on the specific things and also execute different types of other actions if you want to set that up. So I'm going to go ahead and add a rectangle or reaction. And so here is this specific area is where players can click, and then you can execute specific commands over here on the side if you wanted to do that. So in this example, I want this top right hand corner to go ahead and be a reaction where players can click, and I'm actually going to add another image right here, and we'll add one of these default images, which is really nice. We'll add this red one right here, and we'll go ahead and drag that into that space, and we'll blow it up just a little bit so it fits most of the area. And there we go, guys. So then we have this area. You can change the colors of this as well if you want to have a specific highlighted or something, which is really nice. I like to keep these transparent, and then that's what it looks like. So that is what a player will see. And then if a player clicks on this area, or we can do the image, either one, we can add a reaction to it. I like to do the big rectangle because sometimes if you don't get it quite on the specific image, it will not register. So that's why I just like to make something a little bit that overlaps the specific area that players need to click on. So here we can add different commands, messages, we can do visibilities, we can do specific lists, we can do item checks. So it's really cool. You can do so much with this in the web editor, which I love, guys. So nice. We're going to keep it very simple. We'll just add a quick message, and we'll do hey there, and then we'll say you clicked the red circle. Alright, and so we can go ahead, and once you're done, you can go and export for usage, and it just tells you where you can actually put it in. So let's go ahead and click export, and it should just download a JSON file. And then once it is downloading, you can come to your plugin folder in the advanced GUI, go to your layout, and then you're pretty much just going to head and upload that specific project there. If you guys need a Minecraft host, be sure you check out ReviveNode. Their link will be down in the description, and you can use my code to get 15% off your purchase. So there we go, guys. We just uploaded the yt.json. Now we can go back to our Minecraft. So once you're in Minecraft, remember those specific dimensions that you'll need. So this is the 3x2, and then now we can do AG and then reload. Now we'll go reload your configurations. You can do AG help to see the main commands. We're going to be doing the place command, so we'll do AG place, and then our one project is called YT, and then we're just going to do activation radius, and we'll go ahead and right click right there, and there we go, guys. That is what it looks like. So we have this bluish green dark background, and then so now if we go ahead and click this, as you see, hey there, you click the red circle. So even if we click on the outside over here just a little bit, it is still registered because we have that big giant square that we added the action to. So there we go, guys. Now you have your first very cool board set up. So very simple stuff right here that I just wanted to showcase at the very beginning. Now I'm going to show you guys how to get one of the maps in your specific hand. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll make another simple map as well. Alright, so for this one, we're going to be doing the map for the player. So I'm going to call this help menu. Alright, so that's going to be our project. And for the map, it has to be a 1x1, so just be aware of that. I'm going to bump up the scale just a little bit. So now what I'm going to be doing, I want to go ahead and add sort of like a help menu type thing for our specific map. And so to do that, I went ahead and actually add another image to our specific canvas. And so we'll go ahead and do a remote image, and in this specific example I have a square that I want as my base canvas, and so there we go. So that is the square that I want. So that is just going to fill up our specific area. I'm going to head and remove that ratio, and there we go. So that looks good. So I want something in each one of these four. I'll probably just do one or two of these just for this example and the video, so it doesn't get too terribly long, but we're going to be starting out with adding like a plus sign for one of the images. So we'll start out with a group, and in this example I'm going to be doing just 2 for this one, and we'll be doing a little bit more complex things for this one. So in this one I'm going to be adding, we'll add a child, and then we'll go ahead and do the hover event first. So for the hover, as you see, here's the hover component. There's only 2 components that you can actually add with this one. The first one is just going to be the normal one, and the second one happens when a player looks at it or hovers over it. So here's the hover component, and then I'm going to be adding folders for this one. So as it did mention, it said it only holds 2 specific components. So this is where you can add a group, and then in the specific group you can add even more components. So if you didn't add a group, you could only add 2 different things, and so that is why the groups come in handy. So I'm going to rename this group, so we'll say default. So this will be the default one, and then I'm going to add another group. So we'll add another group. This is going to be on this side. So here is the 2 groups. As you saw right there, I did actually rearrange the settings so it wouldn't fall in the same category. So I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to call this hover example. Alright, so for this one, so for the default, whatever player sees, we're going to be adding an image to this. And so I want this to actually be red, and so this is going to indicate like, hey, you haven't hovered over this, and then you can actually click on this specific area. So I'm going to do red for now, and then now we can actually add some more components to this, and we'll add a reaction. So we'll add the reaction about right here in that giant square, and we'll make this transparent. And there we go. So that is what players can actually click on to see the specific action. Alright, so now we have that image for the default. Now we want to have the hover example, so this is when a player actually hovers it. So this is our second one. And so keep in mind, as you saw from this hover event, it is the second one that will always be displayed when you're hovering. So just keep aware of that. So we're going to be adding another event right here. We'll add the specific reaction to this one, and there we go. So we'll make that transparent. As you see, it does actually not come up by default because that is the second example. If you wanted to see what it will look like at first, you can go ahead and just actually switch these around. So you can put this one up here, and that is what it will actually look like. I'm going to head and actually add my image, and so there we go. So that is what the image will look like when the player actually hovers. So we want to make this transparent. So this is actually what it will look like when the player hovers over it. And so we're going to do a reaction for this. So here is the image, and here is our reaction. So we're gonna head and do a command, and we'll warp the player to somewhere. So we'll do like warp VIP player or something. So this will be our specific warp, and we're gonna be running it as console. If you don't want that, you can just run like that if a player has the permission, or you can run it as the operator bypass player permission. So either one works depending on whatever you want. And so that is the hover example. So I really like the hover component because it just makes everything look a lot cleaner and a lot cooler in my opinion. That actually looks good, but we need to remember to switch this around to make sure that's the second one. So we need to go back that out just a hair. So we need to back that out. There we go. So there is our 2 components that we have. So this is what a player will see by default, and then when they hover, they will see the other one. So I'm going to head actually make a new one, and we'll do a specific check for this square down here. So I'm going to head and actually duplicate this because this is going to be very similar to what we're going to be doing. But for this one, I actually don't want an image at all, so we'll just go ahead and delete that. So here is our second group. So here is the second group. I'm going to drag it down here, and so I want no image to be there until a player actually hovers over it. So that is actually perfect. So we have the default one, so nothing will actually happen, and then here is one that will happen when a player actually looks for it. So then I want, we'll go ahead and do this image. So let me swap these around so we can actually see what's happening here. So we'll do the image, and then I went ahead and make this a little bit bigger so it fits in our specific screen. So now for this one, if a player hovers it, they'll see this specific sign, but now I actually want to add a check to this specific hover one. So we'll go ahead and add a check. So now we can check for either permissions, items, money, we can do a visibility check or placeholders. So when you're running a check component, I do recommend adding both of them at the same time, just so you don't get confused which one you're trying to do. So as you see, we have a green and a red. The green represents the check is good, and the red represents no. So that's pretty much all I'm going to be putting for the green message. So we'll say green, and then we'll say green go. Alright, so that indicates the green is go, and we'll go ahead and put that text right here. We'll make the size a little bit smaller actually. We'll go about right there, and then we can change the color, and we'll make this a little green about right there. And we can even change the font as well. So there we go, that looks good. That's about what I want. And then now we can change the text component for this one. We'll say no failed. Alright, so we can say that, and then we can put that text right here, and we'll make it red, I think. Yeah, we'll make it red, this one red. And the reason that we're not seeing it is because it is the second one. So if we go ahead and actually swap it to the top, we can go ahead and test that one out. So we'll say no failed for that one, and so that will be our failed message. So I'm gonna swap these around, and so there we go. So that is looking good. So now we need to make this actually the second component. So this is what it will be, blank by default, and then when they hover it, then they'll see that specific scene. So let's go ahead and actually try this out, and there's going to be probably a few things we might need to change, but for the most part it should be pretty good. So now we can go back and upload this specific JSON file to our server again, and go ahead and reload. And to give yourself the map, you can do item, and then you can go ahead and do the specific name or the player. If it's just you, we'll go ahead and give you the map. So here's what it looks like, and if we go ahead hover over, there we go guys, it just turned green. So that is working perfectly. If we go ahead and click it, it is actually warping us to the warp PvP, so that is executing the command that we set perfectly. And I must admit guys, this plugin is absolutely amazing. I love the built-in web editor, it is so nice. So then if we come over to the bottom here, as you see, it does say no failed, so it is blank, and that is exactly how we wanted it. We just wanted it to change when we hovered over it, so that is perfect. So the failed indicates that we don't have enough money. So then we'll give myself $5,000, so if we hover over it again, we are good to go. So it is working perfectly. So if we go ahead and actually reset it, so then if we go ahead and reset my balance and hover over it again, so that is actually working perfectly guys. So hope you did enjoy this video. Let me know if you have any questions down below. The test server as well as their support Discord will be down in the description. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Peace out.